So I just want to welcome everyone tonight to our cooking demo called Cooking the Flavors of Summer. It's nice to see you all here. This program is being recorded for Milton Access Cable, so others can view it later. And I want to thank the Friends of the Milton Public Library for their support of my programs. If you have any questions during the demo, please put them in the chat box, which I will soon open. And I'll monitor that and I'll pose them at the end of each recipe to our chef. I'm muting you as you enter, but you'll have the ability to unmute yourself also at the end. Now, let me tell you about my friend, Chef Connie Spiros. Hold on one sec here. Okay. She decided to follow her passion for food and entertaining after a long career in financial services. So she went to cooking school to learn it from some of the greats, including Jacques Pepin and Julia Childs. She offered cooking classes in the Metro Boston area and hosted a Milton cable show called Meet Me in the Kitchen, creating more than 50 shows filled with tasty recipes for home cooks looking for inspiration. Her mantra today is cooking should be fun based on a simple recipe with quality ingredients and best when shared with people you enjoy. Connie and I have worked together on programs for many years, and I so appreciate her hard work and her wonderful creative spirit. Now, please join me in a warm welcome for Connie.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jean, so much. I am so happy to be here with you tonight. It's nice to be indoors. And I don't know about you, but I have every air conditioner and every ceiling fan cranked up because once you put the oven on, you know, things get hot in the kitchen. So we're going to start. We are making 3 recipes tonight, and the goal is to be finished by 8 o'clock. So we're going to get started, and we're going to move pretty quickly. There are some people cooking along. If you are cooking along, make sure that you have your oven set to 400 for the dessert. Make sure you have, we're making the marinade for the penne pastas. So have that recipe out handy and the ingredients for that, and get your water started boiling for the penne pasta as well. So Jean is going to keep track of the chat and she'll let me know if there are questions. Usually we wait till the end of that recipe, and so you can ask about the recipe and any specifics. So we're starting with the marinade. I'm going to move my camera to the bowl, and you can hopefully see what I'm going to be adding. Okay, so we have here cherry tomatoes. One thing I did not do was tell you that I cut them in half. You don't have to, but what I'm looking for is juices to form in this marinade. So I have about half a pound of cherry tomatoes. And what I also do is try and buy different colors, like yellow cherry tomatoes, red. There's some that are like dark green. It's just more fun that way. We're going to add 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And everybody knows that I talk about different kinds of olive oil. I try and buy a good olive oil for something like this, and make sure that, you know, it's real olive oil, because unfortunately that's not always the case. I love to go shopping at Marshall's and buy olive oil and balsamic, but you need to look at the labels closely to be sure. So we're putting 3 tablespoons of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and we are going to add to that a little bit of sea salt and a pinch of, sea salt or kosher salt. So the reason you use kosher salt and sea salt in general, chefs use these all the time as opposed to table salt. You can actually see what you're pinching when you pinch something. You can see the crystals. You tend not to over salt things. So I'm putting about half a teaspoon in here. There's mozzarella cheese that's going to be added to this. So I will make sure that I don't over salt. I can always add salt at the end. And the last thing I'm going to do is just a few little red pepper flakes. I'm not a big fan of too much heat. I love heat, but it doesn't like me. But I'm going to add just a few, and you can skip it. You can totally skip this piece of the recipe, but I know some of you out there, I know Juan is going to be somebody who would definitely use the pepper flakes. So, and maybe Salé as well. So that's the start. We're going to get that started over there. Let that set aside. We're going to take some garlic. I have 2 large cloves of garlic. And the best way to do this is to use a nice sharp knife, a big chef's knife, put the garlic on the side and give it a big smash and open it up easily that way. And we are not going to chop this. You can if you want. I'm not a fan of a lot of garlic. I love the flavor of it though. And I want to make sure that the olive oil and the tomatoes are infused with the garlic. So I'm going to leave it like this and just put it in there. Maybe I'll get one big chop. and then put it in here and let it sit. It's going to marinate. It can marinate up to 3 hours on the counter. And you can just, enjoy it. The more you get those flavors in there, the better. So just making sure I put everything in: garlic, red pepper flakes, salt, olive oil, and cherry tomatoes. So these are going over to the side. And my water is boiling for the penne pasta. So I am going to now talk to you about the next recipe. We're going to move on to the dessert. So the peach cobbler for two. Now, all of you, I'm sure, would have a recipe for peach cobbler. And it's easy and it's different from crisps. Cobblers are usually like a baked good on the top. It's like a cakey kind of texture on the top, as opposed to a crisp, which is more crumbly and, brown sugary and all of that. But this one is a peach cobbler for two, which means if you are a one, you can have more than one serving. It's for me, it's my portion control because if I make a big honking piece of a platter of peach cobbler, I'm going to eat it all. So I try to watch what I'm doing by trying this recipe for two. So I am going to start over at the stove. So come on over with me. And I'm going to start making this on this camera now. And we will start with some brown sugar. I've got 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And if you can't see something, please just let Jean know or go open up the unmute yourself.
Yeah, unmute yourself or put it in the chat and I'll post it to Connie, okay?
Right. And we're going to take some cornstarch, and I think this is 2 teaspoons of cornstarch and a little bit of water. We're making a slurry with the cornstarch, and always the cornstarch always sticks, so you want to put the water into that cornstarch. And it's a 1/4 cup of water. And this is just going to really start thickening this sauce that the peaches will be in. The peaches will live in that sauce. So we're just making sure you can see that. It looks like you can. All right, we're going to let that sort of get concentrated here until it's smooth. I'm going to put the heat up a little bit. You want it to be thick. So I've made a lot of recipes with peaches, and sometimes I take the peach skin off. I did not today. And what I'm going to show you actually while I'm waiting for this to get up to a little bit more smoothness is I'm going to take my board here. Hold on a second. I'm going to take a board and I'm just going to show you the way I cut the peaches. And I cut them, you slice them long lengthwise, and you can twist them so that the pit comes out. I should have shown you that, but I didn't. Sorry about that. And then I'm basically cutting them in chunks.
Yeah, we can't quite see your cutting board in the image.
Oh, you can't see them. Oh, thank you.
Cutting board, we can't. We can see them now, though, the peaches, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to show them in the pot. And sorry about that. I will try and just cut them here in pieces like this so that you can see them. I need a 3rd camera.
Yeah, it's that image is a little small is what it is, I think. But it does show your cooked chop well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so, and we're bringing this up to a boil, and we're basically going to add, what did I put in here? 1 tablespoon of butter. Unsalted butter is what I always use. And a squeeze of lemon juice. It's about a teaspoon. So just a squeeze of lemon juice. And if you like the lemony flavor, which I do, put a little extra. That's good too. All right, so we're just going to let this melt. We're going to shut off the heat and let it just melt and sort of sit there for a while. And it's going to continue to thicken up. All righty. I'm going to leave that there and move back. Okay. So now, am I making you dizzy by going back and forth? Sorry if I am.
No, it's fun. It's fun. We can see it.
Good,
Yeah.
good, good, good. Okay, excellent. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the cobbler part. And that is over here. Let me grab my stuff. So the key for me with this cobbler is the ingredient that is the last ingredient on the section that's called topping, and that's the orange zest. Orange zest is a powerful flavor. You know, if you make an apple pie, make sure you add orange zest in there. It just adds so much to the recipe. So, okay, so we are going to combine, and I'm going to just pull my camera down a little bit so you can see it here. All right, I'm going to combine a third of a cup of flour. And of course, I've measured this all out. So if you're measuring with me, sorry, I should have told you to measure things out in advance, but that's okay because I'll move slowly. And then we have, we have some sugar. So this is just granulated sugar. And, you know, one of the things I always recommend people do, this is 2 tablespoons. This can tend to be sweet. If you're not one who needs to have so much sweetness in your desserts, I'm not sure who that would be, but I know I do know there are people like that. Then just cut back on the sugar, either one, either the brown sugar in the top with the peaches or the white sugar. We're going to add half a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay. Good that you can't see my sink. I don't think you can because this is where everything's going is in the sink. A pinch of salt. So a pinch of salt is not to be left out. And I'll tell you, salt is one of those ingredients that, like vinegar and lemon juice, it really gives things a pop and you don't want to miss it. And let's see what's last. And the salt. Okay. I'm going to grab some milk, 2 tablespoons of milk. Oh, and I need to melt some butter. Let me get that done. So I'm melting about 1.5 tablespoons of butter. 30 seconds in the microwave kind of gets that working. So I'm going to grab a small whisk. And I'm going to add the 2 tablespoons of, let me grab this here. Done. I don't think I want olive oil in my dessert, but it wouldn't matter.
We can see your board very well, Connie.
Great.
Yeah.
So I think this is 2 tablespoons of milk. I know the stovetop is not as easy to see, but we'll.
Yeah, it's okay though. We can see. Yeah. It's a little much smaller. That's all.
Yeah. So I'll talk to you more. It's not that I don't need the stovetop much tonight, which is a good thing. So, okay. Let me just get that off of there. And the last thing I'm going to add is that butter from the microwave. So I think I said it's about 1.5 tablespoons. So I wrote down 4.5 teaspoons of butter. So if you know that 3 teaspoons makes 1 tablespoon, you realize that the easier way to write that is 1.5 tablespoons. It's just so much easier to do that. Okay, so let me grab a spoon to mix this up. And what we're going to do, I have it right here. What I'm going to do is once this is mixed up, then we combined, I think is a better word than mixed up, right? That's my brain sometimes mixed up, but it is a very thick batter and that's okay. You can add a little more milk if you want to, but you'll see this is really not a huge quantity. This is really going to spread out in this small little Pyrex dish. I got this at a church fair for $2. This is my great new bargain. Okay, so I am going to then lastly add that orange zest I talked about. And make sure you have a microplane grater, by the way. This is an incredible tool, not just for citrus, which is for limes, lemons, orange, but for chocolate, it's great. Cheeses, fabulous. So the way you do it, you can do it a lot of different ways. I used to do it upside down, but I like to see the forming of the zest in there so I can kind of see how much I have. This is 1/4 teaspoon. I love this flavor of orange, so I'm going to add more to it. No big deal. No one's ever going to say, oh gosh, that's a terrible flavor, because it's not. It's fabulous. So tap on the edge of the bowl and you've got your orange zest in there. Okay, so I'm going to move aside my ingredients here. I'm going to get the peaches here, which are looking really good, thickened up, which is nice. And I'm going to place the peaches Okay, I'm just going to take a look here. Reduce the heat, pour the topping, stir in the milk, transfer the mixture. And it's ungreased. I think there's plenty of fluid in here that's going to keep it from sticking, but that's staying in there. Spread it out a little bit. And then the last part of it, I mean, this is not a difficult recipe. Everybody, as I said, has made a crumble or a cobbler or a Betty, brown Betty, whatever they call them. There's another name for it too. And all I'm going to do now is just put this aside. You want to spread it around so that every piece has a little bit of batter to it. Okay, and that is it. So this is the time when we ask if there are any questions.
Yes, I don't see any in the chat. So anybody can unmute themselves and ask a question as they cook along. Okay.
And if you don't have a question about this, I can tell you, yes, you can put apples in the fall. Yes, you could add blueberries to this and it would be absolutely fabulous with peaches. Peaches and blueberries are a great combination, or peaches and raspberries. Really, really good. So that is that dish.
Question, could you use frozen peaches?
Yes, you could, but what you want to do is make sure that you defrost them first, because they really should be a little bit, they're going to produce a lot of liquid. And so you want to make sure you defrost them, and then you can go along with the recipe. So absolutely.
Looks delicious. Yeah, looks delicious.
So that is that dish. So we're going to move on. Let me get rid of some of this stuff I have here. Okay, we are going back to now put the, I'm going to put the penne. We're going to start the chicken paillard recipe. So get that one out if anyone is cooking along. Anyone who's cooking, are you okay? Are you up to speed and making your way along the menu? Sounds like you are, I'm sure. They're not difficult recipes at all. I try not to do difficult recipes ever, because why would you need to do that?
Oh, yes. We have one question in the chat, which is from Sarah. Are we putting the
peaches in the oven?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. 25 minutes. So put them in. Yep.
Okay, good.
So thank you. That's a pretty obvious question. I'm glad you asked it. I didn't say that. Didn't tell anybody to do that. Yes.
Well, I knew you were making it first so it could cook while you were making the other stuff, right?
Yeah, I just didn't think about saying that, though. I should. That's good. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so I'm going to put the penne in the water. The water should be boiling by now. And mine needs to get heated a little bit more. It's hot, but it's not boiling. So I'm going to get my water boiling. So penne pasta, I use Barilla pasta. You can use anything you want. This would be great with farfalle, shells, any kind of pasta. I don't think I would use a spaghetti, a long linguine or spaghetti like that. Black bean salad while you made the dessert. Oh, that's great. Oh, happy to hear that, Arden. Great. Yeah.
She said, I made the black bean salad while you made the dessert. That's great. That looks wonderful.
Love that.
Yeah,
love that. And I have to tell you, in fact, I'm going to have a taste of that right now, because it is, and Arden, did you add the little hot sauce in there?
You can unmute yourself, Artist, to answer if you want.
I didn't. I put a little garlic. A whole lot of cilantro.
Great idea.
And my son likes it, so we're good. It's delicious.
It's so good. So this is my niece's mother-in-law's recipe. This is where all my recipes come from. Family, friends. I extend myself out and say, give me your best recipe. I want to make it. To me, the flavor that I taste in there is the cilantro, and I'm not a big fan of cilantro, but the cilantro is great in this. And the avocado. The avocado is just wonderful. Okay, so we have our penne pasta. And for some reason now I'm not getting my water to boil after I was the one who said, make sure your water's boiling. So let me tell you about the chicken paillard, first of all. First of all, the word paillard is French. And so it's officially a paillard. Just let that D sort of hang and not get pronounced. But those of us here, it's chicken paillard. And it comes with a tomato, corn, and basil relish. So we're repeating some of the ingredients here because this is all about summer. And for me, tomatoes and corn are the favorites of everybody in the summertime. So I am happy to say that we have a lot of corn in the markets now, and it's hitting the farmers markets as well, the local corn. And this particular relish that we're going to make with the chicken, I think is equally great with fish. Notice that we really don't do anything fancy with the chicken. We just basically salt and pepper and flour it and saute it. And then it's all about the relish and the freshness of that relish. So I'm going to just put this pasta in before I continue on here, though. I want to get this started. All right, that is boiling. Okay, so that is going to be, I'm going to change my timer here. Okay, so I'm going to keep track of that, and then I'll add in for the peaches. Let me give this pasta a little stir. And my penne pasta says it needs 12 minutes, so that's what I'm going to do. All right, so I'm not going to make the relish right away. I'm going to get the chicken started. So in my refrigerator, I have pounded, that's like a verb, I guess, right? To pound. I pounded my chicken. I put the weight to my chicken. And I hardly ever buy boneless chicken breasts because I'm cheap. I like to buy bone-in chicken breasts and take them off the bone. And then I can easily do that boning myself. That's not a big deal for me. But if you don't like to do that, buy them already boned. And so I'm going to show you my chicken breast here. I'm going to get a plastic bag. And I'm going to, I made one already. I'm sure all of you have done this before, but get yourself one of these pounders. You know, the other option, honestly, is to create a paillard by either buying thin cutlets in the store, which are even more expensive, so you won't see me buying those, or to take the chicken breast. And I think I've done this before. Take the chicken breast and slice it thin. And that doesn't look as pretty to me. So tonight I'm dressing it up a little bit. And I'm going to take my handy dandy plastic bag and my gloves. I got a manicure today. I'm not going to ruin the manicure, right? Got my priorities.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when I do this at home, my husband's not home tonight, thankfully, because when I do this at home, he's really worried that I'm going to break like the whole countertop. But I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm never quite sure. So we're looking for this to just do two things. Number one, get thinner and also get a little more even. And you can see there's one in here already that I've done that is about a ½ inch thick. And that's what we're looking for, is just to make it a little bit more even, spread it out. This is the same thing you would do if you were making chicken Milanese. Chicken Milanese is the same basic principle, and it's in an egg and breadcrumbs mixture, and you fry it in that, and then you serve it with some kind of a great arugula salad on top or whatever. So similar recipes. This one has got a relish for the summer instead.
So, Connie, Sarah's sharing that her husband, Oliver, is pounding the chicken with a small cast iron pan.
Perfect. Yeah. Oliver, smart man. Mm-hmm. Don't bother buying one of these if you have a cast iron pan. It's equally good at doing this.
Feel free to put your questions in here in the chat box, you guys. Or like I said, you can just unmute yourself and ask Connie something.
I'm taking a look to see. I think it still needs a little bit more. Okay, get all your aggressions out when you do this. I want to know who Oliver's put like the name on the chicken list. When I was working like the real world, my financial services job I would name a different person every time I cooked chicken. It was quite interesting.
Perfect.
Anyway, great. So there is the chicken breast, nice and thin. You know, it's a great texture. And it's ready to cook. So we are going to put salt and pepper on this chicken breast. I'm going to put them both on this board. take my powder away. I'm going to put some salt and pepper on them, and then some flour. Okay. We pat them dry first. So it's always a good thing to do is pat proteins dry so that they really cook better. Whoops.
Now, Connie, you say that this serves 4 or 2?
Oh, sorry. This is a 2. Sorry, this is a 2. Did your recipe say 2 or 4?
It says serves 4, the recipe that's here. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. So what I did was I cut it back. I apologize, everybody. You're going to be doing the same thing except for 4.
Yeah.
So whatever your recipe says is what you need to follow. I changed the recipe because I was cooking this just for the 2 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I reduced the recipe. All of these things can easily be adjusted up or down. So that's the good news. All right. So we're going to sprinkle a little salt and pepper on these chicken breasts. Again, kosher salt is all I use. I want to be able to see things and get the pepper. And I am using a cast iron pan. So Oliver's going to be able to make this with the same pan he pounded the chicken with. Very, very environmentally good to do that. Why dirty? Why use more water to do dirty dishes? So,
okay.
All right.
Someone raised their hand. And now, who is that?
Oh, okay.
That is a Zoom user guest. And so would you like to, let me unmute you. Do you want to?
Yes, I would love the recipes. Can we get copies of the recipes?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I sent them out to everyone who was registered. But if you want to put
I registered late, so maybe I didn't get them.
Oh, just tell me your last name.
Mary Noble.
Oh, Mary. Okay.
Mary. Hi, Mary.
Oh, Mary.
Hi, Connie.
Yes, I'm glad to see you here. You know what? I actually sent it to you in a second email, and then I included you in the final. So if you look in your email, you'll have the recipes and the shopping list from Connie.
Super. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Just
So
let me
happy
know.
to see you here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've known Mary a long time. Oh gosh, long time. Okay, so we're going to start. I'm going to spoon around my penne here. Got about 5 more minutes on the penne. I'm going to start the chicken on the, got a tablespoon of oil. And I apologize again if the recipe is different for you. So what does the recipe for 4 say about the amount of oil and butter?
Well, it shows 3 to 4. So it says 3 tablespoons olive oil. We're talking about the pasta, right? 3 tablespoons.
Oh, no, sorry, the chicken. I'm sorry, the chicken.
Oh, the chicken. So let's see. It says 3 tablespoons extra virgin olive oil. And then what was your other question?
The chicken, when it says under the chicken, the boneless, skinless chicken breast with flour.
4. 4 tenderloins.
And then how much butter and salt? And I mean, how much butter and oil?
Yeah, 1 1/2 tablespoon unsalted butter, 1 1/2 tablespoon extra virgin olive oil for chicken.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the chicken. Okay. So I'm putting in a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil. And I'm going to use that. And I apologize again if I messed you up with the 2 versus 4.
Oh, this is interesting. Connie, I have to read this to you. I have to read you something from Mary Sullivan, which she said, I always tuck a peach pit or 2 in the corner of a cobbler for extra flavor. Think that hint was in Old Fanny Farmer cookbook.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds great. That flavor,
Yeah.
Mary's great to bring that up. The flavor, it's like the suggestion when you cook something like a steak, it's always going to be better if you leave the bone in. It's the same thing with vegetables, with pits of these, in particular, these stone fruits. They have so much flavor in them that if you tuck it in, it's going to emit more of that flavor into the recipe. Great idea, Mary. Thanks for sharing that with us. Oh, actually, I can leave this up here so you can see the back of my apron.
We just have to be careful not to serve the pit to our guests. Right.
There you go, Jean. Now you're thinking that would not be hospitable.
Hidden in the mix.
That would not at all be hospitable.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so I'm going to leave the chicken in the pan there. It's cooking away. It's about 5 minutes on a side. And we are going to move on to let's see what's next. Okay, so I'm going to make the relish, that goes with the chicken. Okay, so I'm going to grab the corn and the cherry tomatoes, again, cherry tomatoes, and a couple of scallions, beautiful cherry tomatoes, and the corn. I'm going to talk about the corn. So I don't know how you all feel about corn, but I love it raw. I don't worry about cooking it. The recipes here says the cup of corn kernels that you're going to use for the relish. If you like, you can roast with a half a teaspoon of oil in a 375-degree oven for about 10 minutes. Don't bother. Unless you cannot eat raw corn because it affects you in some way. Don't worry about it. Definitely just use the corn as is. And just so everyone knows, the easiest thing to do, and I started using this earlier, so it's half done, half cut off. Get yourself a big knife like the one we used before for I forget what I used. Oh, for the garlic. So I'm going to rinse it off a little bit so there's no garlic flavor on my corn. But basically, just hold the corn this way. Sorry. On your board and just give a slice. Know that the corn's going to go all over the place because it does. It has its own mind. But it is just, it is just so good, just like this. And as well. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so I'm going to go check my chicken because I can smell it and it smells really good. And I don't want it to burn. So I'm going to move this over here. Let me just check this chicken. Okay. So I'm going to take a peek at the chicken. It's really light. I'm going to give it a few more minutes. You can't see that as well, but it needs a little more color to it. So I'm going to keep that there. One of the things about chicken sticks, but the key to it not sticking in a pan is to let it sit. And I don't know if you can see this because it's kind of a small picture as being said. It pulls away, the protein pulls away from the pan, the heat of the pan, and that's what's going to prevent it from sticking. You want it to caramelize, it's a word that's used a lot. Caramelize the meat, the protein, so that when you're ready to turn over, it's really easy to do because it's all there, like right now. That's beautiful. We're going to cook it the other side. This side is not as brown. I'm going to put that back, let that cook a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to make the relish. So I have the corn. I have some scallions. And I'm going to add some more to that. So with scallions, it's easy. My timer just went off, folks. Hold on a second. That's for the penne. I'm going to give it a take. Penne needs 2 more minutes. Okay. I took off the end of the scallion and I'm going to take off some of the green and I'm going to just give a quick shot. And make sure that you watch your fingers.
Yeah, that's a pretty big knife, Connie.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's not as sharp as it should be, though. That's the problem. I can see that it's not cutting as well as it might. Okay, and then we're going to add to that some freshly sliced basil. So I'm going to let me just go back to my chicken here. Okay. I don't know if I told you all, I put the pasta on for another 2 minutes. So that's going to start up in a minute. Finish up, I should say. Okay. So I have some basil here. And I've been picking off the basil and I rinse off my basil. I know that's not always necessary when it's in your own garden, but I tend to do that. So this is called finely sliced. It's the same thing that the word chiffonade. is a technical term for the method of slicing this. So you line all these great little basil leaves up and you roll them. I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of a small look here, but you roll them up tightly like a cigar. And then you use your sharp knife again and a very thin slice. And then you've got these long little slices of basil. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing as well. All right, so it smells so good. So I'm going to add that in. That's about a couple of tablespoons. Add as much as you want in there. That was not as good a piece, so I'm not going to use that. Okay, back to the pasta. We're moving around here a lot. Sorry about that. I'm going to shut off the pasta. I'm going to put my timer on again for about 15 minutes for the pie. Oh, that looks good. The dessert looks great. So I'm going to pull off the pasta and put it in a colander. And let me just find a spot for it in my kitchen, in my sink. And I will take the pasta and take it off the heat. Okay, so here's the pasta off the heat. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab that those marinated, I'm not sure you can hear me from this far away. I hope you can.
Yeah, no, I can hear. I can hear.
Okay.
Everybody can turn up maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So I've got in my bowl again here, the tomatoes, the garlic, and I think I'm going to need more basil as well. But a thought here is to check the chicken. Okay, one of those pieces of chicken is probably done. That's getting it's almost not, it's not quite cooked the second piece, but I'm going to pull the first one off.
So it's the oil that makes the relish moist, right? You put oil. Connie?
You know what, I'm going to keep those on. I'm sorry, G, say that one more time.
You put the oil in with the relish ingredients to make it kind of a
Yes, so it's going to be more liquidy. I haven't gotten there yet, so I'll be right back to the relish. So back to the pasta, and I know I'm probably confusing everybody. We're back on the pasta because the pasta is ready, and I want to make sure that I take that pasta and I put the hot pasta in with the tomatoes and the garlic and the mozzarella. So I'm going to grab the mozzarella from the fridge. So I bought Ciliegina. I forget, I can't pronounce it. Ciliegina. It's the kind of mozzarella that's in round balls, small round balls. And I cut them in half because I wanted them to be about the same size as the tomatoes that I'm using. And this again is the penne, all right? We're not on the chicken anymore until that chicken cooks. So let me come back here with that camera was like just float off. I saw myself in the kitchen on one side and the other side.
Right. Yeah, no. So once in a while here, because I'm using the wireless and we're going to have a big storm tonight, you pause a little second, but then you come right back, at least here. Okay. And I hope that's not happening to anybody else over there, but
it probably is.
Just stay patient and she'll come back.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I moved around on you too. So we're back to the penne. Okay, I'm going to put aside the chicken first. And I'm actually going to shut off the chicken because that's done. So we'll get to that after I get the penne done. So I've got the bowl of penne here. The bowl of tomatoes and garlic. I am going to remove the garlic. If you like big chunks of garlic, don't do this. Keep the garlic there. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to toss in some basil. And you always wait till the last minute to put the basil in because you want that fresh flavor of the herb. You don't want to have it sit there and marinate. It's not as good marinating as it would be just fresh. So, so I'm pulling out. This is not exactly the most exciting thing to watch me do, but it's part of cooking. Okay, I have most of it out. I think that's it. I'm going to cut some more basil. So once again, I'm going to take some of this basil and I'm going to chiffonade it. And
So Connie, with the garlic, you put it in just briefly to get the flavor. And
I did. I put it in for about 20 minutes just to get the flavor. It's called infusing it, infusing the garlic flavor into the oil. Right, exactly.
Okay.
And then you can leave it in if you want. I'm not one who likes to have a big chunk of garlic, but people do. So,
Yeah.
So I'm doing this again. I'm rolling up the basil again to get that nice little chiffonade going. And I'm going to chop it, slice it actually. Okay. And so that's going in. I'll show you this in a second with the pasta. With the tomatoes. I've moved aside the garlic is out of the picture. I'm going to put my bowl back here and I'm going to mix in that basil, which looks so pretty with the tomatoes. All right. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is put in the pasta. So the pasta goes in, and I use a big bowl. I just love big bowls. So if you don't need it, don't worry about it. But I love the look of a big bowl. And then the last thing I'm going to do is put this, while this pasta is still hot, put this mozzarella in, which I have cut into, as I said, I'll show you the container. It's the smaller round balls. It's not the tiny pearls. I wanted it to be, part of this is the eye. I wanted it to be the same size, the tomatoes and the mozzarella. So they are about, and the garlic. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to let that sit there and the mozzarella is going to soften because the pasta is nice and hot.
That looks delicious. Okay, Connie,
really,
so we have a question here. Sarah sent me, Nancy has this question. If you want to have the chicken for dinner tomorrow, do we leave the relish off for storing overnight? Oh, wait a minute. My thing's in the way.
Yes.
Reheating instructions, question mark.
Right. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna answer that in 1 minute. I'm gonna just suggest that if you're going to eat this pasta, this can stay overnight in the refrigerator, but it's probably best to eat this kind of fresh. I wouldn't, it'll be fine to, 2 days or 3 days from now, but it's best within about a day. Taste this for salt and pepper and also add extra virgin olive oil before you serve it. Okay. So if you're not eating this tonight, and I know it's almost 8:00, you may not be, this would be fine just as is in the refrigerator. Let it come to room temperature before you serve it and do a nice drizzle of olive oil because it can be eaten cold. It can be a cold salad. It doesn't have to be a hot pasta. So it's perfectly fine either way. So I'm going to move this aside. And now I'm going to talk about the chicken. So sorry about that mixture of everything. The chicken is cooked. So that's the good news. The chicken is cooked. I have the relish again. So let's go back to the chicken paillard and the relish portion of that. Okay. So I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and I need a bigger bowl for this. Let me grab a different bowl here. Hold on. So I have a different bowl now. I'm going to put the corn, the scallions, the basil, which I think I know I need more of, and the tomatoes, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay. And the 2 tablespoons of olive oil is just going to kind of get all of this to blend together. And we're going to add a little salt and pepper. Give it a little taste. And I would definitely, I can see I would need to, I'm going to use the same spoon. It doesn't matter here. I'm going to add a little salt and pepper though, because I can see it's It's going to need something because it doesn't have a whole lot of seasonings to it, except for the natural seasonings of the basil and the tomatoes and the corn. So just think about this on a piece of cod or halibut or, any kind of white fish that would just be beautiful, flounder. This is the freshest thing you can put on anything. And when we take a piece of chicken, I'm going to move this aside. We take a piece of chicken and we put this on its, let me just make sure before I do that, I'm just going to make sure that I did everything I needed to. I think I did. If anyone sees that I've left something out, please speak up.
That looks delicious.
Well, it's just so fresh. That's the thing. And I have to say, it's equally about the relish as it is about the chicken, because the chicken is just simply, one thing I will mention about the chicken will be tender because we put flour on it. That's one of the tricks. Sometimes chicken breast can be really chewy, but if you salt and pepper and flour it and then saute it, that flour protects the chicken from getting really dry. And this will be a much better way to focus a piece of chicken when you've got this beautiful relish on top. And one thing I would say is, if you like to have something like even smaller, quarter the tomatoes, or you don't have to use cherries. Use some other kind of tomato that you have in your garden or that you find at the farmer's market. Do whatever you want with this recipe because it's so simple. But the basic point I want to make is, don't be afraid of eating corn that's not cooked. It doesn't have to be. It really is so sweet when it's just fresh off the cob. So let me see where our dessert is, and I'm going to be right back with that.
Okay, now while you're doing that, I'm just going to read you Kristine's question. Yeah, she's having a small dinner party tomorrow. Can I cook the chicken ahead and serve it cold with the relish?
Yeah, you could, absolutely, but I wouldn't put them together. Hold the relish. Sorry, I didn't think I answered that question. I would cook the chicken, wrap that up and overnight, and put the relish in a separate container. Don't put the relish on top of the chicken. And then you can use it cold. That would be great. But I'd probably take it out more room temperature if possible, like 20, 30 minutes before you're going to serve it.
But when you take it out and serve it, do you put the relish on it or just put it on the side?
Oh, no, put it on it. Definitely put it on it.
Yeah.
Frankly, the chicken, I don't know if you saw what the chicken looked like. It's not pretty. The chicken is just kind of a piece of chicken. It's a chicken cutlet. And so you want to put that pretty, relish so it looks like that.
Beautiful. It's delicious.
So I definitely. Okay, now I'm just going to bring over the dessert, and it is not even 8 o'clock. Wow. Let me just find here I am. Just going to find my little.
You are just very efficient, see?
Well, it doesn't hurt that I was doing this, like getting things ready this afternoon. So that's the key, is having somebody. I didn't have anybody to help, but having a little bit of time to do the prep in advance.
Yeah.
So I just have to show you the beauty of this lovely little cobbler, which smells so good.
Good. Great.
And it really does. The peaches are so spectacular. We're going to just take a little spoonful and show you.
We're going to all come over, Connie, and have a taste. Yeah, Judy just said she'll be right over.
There you go. There you go. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I love that. I love that. I've got the AC on. Come on over.
Beautiful. Look at that.
I need a bigger spoon. Sorry. That was a silly spoon to use.
That looks so pretty.
So this is a 2. This is a recipe for 2. But for me, it's a little bit more than that. If I put some ice cream on it, which of course I'm going to do.
Yeah, Kristine just said that, just saying it looks like
absolutely
too, right? Yeah.
But just look at, it's just such a pretty look. And I love that the skins are on still, because the skins have the color. Now, if you've got an issue with skins of fruit, take the skins off. And I think everybody I think last year I when I did a program with peaches. An easy way to remove the skin of a peach is to put an X in the bottom of the peach with a very sharp knife and toss it into boiling water, the whole peach, for 30 seconds, not even that, probably 15 seconds, and take it out and the skin will immediately come off. So the same thing with tomatoes, by the way.
Sometimes people don't like the fuzz, right? It's like fuzzy.
Yeah, some people don't like that, but for me, I think the color that comes with the peach skin is usually where all that beautiful pink color comes from. So I'm just going to
now
a tantalizing dessert.
Did you see Sarah's message? She said our crust didn't quite cover the peaches, but it still looks amazing.
Oh yeah, it's not meant to. I should have said that too. So thank you, Sarah, for asking these good questions. It doesn't have to. It's intended to be like just kind of these pretty chunks, and it's all about the peaches. So it's absolutely great the right way, that way, cobbler that way. Yep.
Beautiful. And Craig, my husband, just said penne and chicken pallard are now all set for dinner tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That is great.
I might have to test it now.
I might have to test it now. I would do it.
Craig, I just want some of that pasta thing for lunch
Absolutely.
tomorrow. Can I take some for lunch?
Right. Absolutely. It's great for lunch. I mean, I would say, I put these together, not expecting that you'd serve them together, but you could easily. Because you've got pasta and there's a lot of tomatoes in combination with these both. And if you serve the appetizer as well, that's got corn in it. So there are a couple of duplications, but those are the big things of this summer season. So any other questions or any suggestions that people have for other things they'd like to? Oh, here we go. Yes, absolutely. Substituting nectarines. Very, very good idea. You could use apricots. Because apricots are just about at the end of their season, but they would be a great early summer fruit to put in there. You can pretty much put anything in a cobbler and use the same recipe. The difference will be with like blueberries or apples. They're a little bit less watery. So you may need to add a little bit more liquid to try and just get that thickness out of the cornstarch and the water that that slurry that you make. But peaches are a natural because peaches have pectin. And that pectin helps thicken up the sauce as well. So it's a really natural fruit to use. And I would say frozen peaches would be great because then you can have them any time of year you want. They're available all the time in the store.
So that's called a slurry?
Yes, so slurry. Cornstarch and water together forms a slurry. It's a thickening agent, but it's called a slurry. And someone had a question as well.
Yes.
Connie, this is Jen. Hi.
Oh, Jen.
Yeah.
Hi.
So I've had some really great peaches this summer and some really lousy ones. How do you choose peaches?
Well, I'll tell you. I can tell you where to buy them. Oh, and there's Judy. My gosh, I'm just looking at everybody who's on here tonight. Oh, Chris, good to see everybody. Oh my gosh, this is wonderful. So I would tell you that it's really hard to be able to pick a great peach because they're so rock solid hard when you first buy them that you're not going to be able to tell. So it becomes a matter of finding a peach that you know you like. So, for example, I'm a Wegmans gal. I think you all know that who know me. Wegmans has a peach that's called Lori Ann Peaches, Loriann Peaches. And they are there right now, and they are absolutely outstanding peaches. Every year we wait for them to come. They're a short window. It's a farm in North Carolina, and I think she sells exclusively to Wegmans, so they're always there every summer. But it's Lori Ann Peaches, and they are phenomenal. But Jen, to answer your question, find a place that the peaches you like. Like Ward's Berry Farm has great peaches usually. It's just hard to know because it's a taste test that you need to find a type or a location that you like.
Yeah. And does cooking make not so great peaches better?
Ooh, sorry, you just froze. I missed the beginning. What was the beginning of the question, Jen?
When you cook the peaches, does that make a not so great peach better?
Oh, absolutely. Sorry, that I should have mentioned before. So I had a peach. I bought a Lori Ann peach that somehow when I bought it, I didn't realize it was bruised. And so I had it this morning and it was like, oh, not a good bruise. It's totally not good. And I said, but I could have used it tonight in my peaches because you're adding sugar to this. The same basic flavor of the peach is there, It's just that it's not necessarily as sweet or as ripe as you might like it if you were just eating a peach. So when you put it in with sugar, brown sugar, it's going to be fine. It's going to be great, in fact. So yeah, it'll still be good for baking.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple comments here.
I have another question.
Okay. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Could I have yes. So I had a question about tenderizing or pounding the chicken. Is that the purpose of that primarily to get the even width of it or depth of it? Or is it somehow, tenderizing the meat in some way?
So that's a really good question, because when I think of tenderizing meat with a pounder, I think of beef. And a lot of restaurants will put the part of the pounder that has the marks or the depressions or whatever you want to call this side of it. This is like a meat tenderizer. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a texture to it. That would be used for a beef. Yes, in fact, chicken can be made more tender by pounding it. But you can also, and basically it breaks up the fibers, and that's what makes it more tender. So yeah, it helps. And I think that's a part of the reason, along with the flour and the sauteing aspect, that makes it tender. It definitely is part of it, but it's not so much a part of chicken, using it for chicken. For most part with chicken, it's to get them thin, to get them even, and also to get them a little tender.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Sarah just says, Connie, chicken and pasta are both delicious. Thank you so much. And Ardith
Good.
says, the chicken and black bean dishes are awesome. Thank you. And Gwen says, thank you. Great presentation.
Wonderful. I'm so glad. So tell us, what your thoughts are. I'm sure you can email me, cdspiros@comcast.net. I'm very happy to have anybody email me. So it's C as in Connie, D as in Donna, Spiros
I'll type
at comcast.net.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jean. And tell me what you think. Tell me what you'd like to see. Jean and I are working on another program for the end of the year, for the holiday season. So give us some ideas, because I don't really know what you want to see. So I've got zillions of recipes, and I'm very happy to share them. So
yeah, send us your.
Thanks, Lisa.
I still have some of your recipes from the classes that you did at the high school, and they're my favorite to this day.
Chris, that's too fun. I know.
The pork tenderloin that you put in the oven after you fried it, and it was just, it's my best recipe ever. So
I love that, Chris. That is too fun. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I have done so many classes for so many years, and people, I'm glad you told me which one, because I had somebody come up to me at church one day and said, that pork tenderloin recipe you made was just great. And I'm like, which one was it? But I remember that one because you saute it first and then finish it off in the oven. So yep. Yeah, and I'm happy to share recipes. If you got some dinner party coming up and you need an appetizer, or you need to side something, let me know. I'm happy to send you an email with a recipe, because I've got so many of them and they're all tested. So they're tried and true recipes.
Thank you so much, Jean. So let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, just a few more accolades over here from Janet and from Lisa. And I just want to thank everyone for being here. It's so fun for me watching you cook. And watching my husband cook. It'll be great. I'm looking forward to dinner tomorrow night. And so are there any more questions?
There you go.
Anybody? No? Anybody have anything else they want to ask Connie? Just that.
Well, the only thing I will say, I was going to say, I'll leave you with one thought as well. Take advantage of the farmers market in Milton. There's a farm there there are a few farms there, but I know one of them has been there a long time. And they do have great corn and great peaches, and they're all very, very good. So please do go down there, and you'll see the library table occasionally there as well. So it's a great, great thing to support, and it's a great way to get some incredibly great produce that we don't see very long in the year. So take advantage of it when you can.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Connie. Nice to have you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for being here. And I guess what we'll do is we'll say goodnight, and I'll see you next time. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye now, everybody.
Happy cooking.
Thanks, Jean.